Hello, gorgeous people. Welcome or welcome back, as the case may be. Today, I would like to do a deep dive into a show Jimmy Dore did last week on the stunt pulled by Governors Abbott and DeSantis in sending asylum seekers to a number of northern cities and areas which have proclaimed themselves to be sanctuary cities. So the questions raised in listening to the mayor's comments are, what exactly is a border town, and what exactly is a sanctuary city? I'm Ellen Jimerson, your friendly neighborhood historian and an immigrant advocate since about 2006, and I'm a pretty good generalist, if I do say so myself. By that I mean I'm not an immigration attorney and cannot help anyone with their immigration issues. Jimmy Dore did a really good job of pointing out the astounding hypocrisy of the Democrats when it comes to immigration. And I say that as a lifelong Democrat myself. Towards the end of this video, I will elaborate on what it is about Jimmy Dore's take on this event that I found so good and so on point. On the issues raised, for example, Muriel Bowser, who is mayor of Washington, D.C., said in a clip that we are not a border town. I know she meant it in a somewhat different sense, but in fact, she's wrong. Washington, D.C. is very much a border town, and I will explain that in just a minute. And Lori Lightfoot, the mayor of Chicago, has said that Chicago is a sanctuary city and a welcoming city. Yet when she was sent some 90 asylum seekers, she rerouted them to what a little research has led me to believe is a mostly Republican and very wealthy suburb of Chicago called Burr Ridge. And so I feel confident in saying that Mayor Lightfoot really does not understand what a sanctuary city is. So this is, of course, an example with the mayors, not only of hypocrisy, but of a real lack of knowledge having to do with these issues. And these are issues that affect their constituents without any doubt whatsoever. But it is ignorance and hypocrisy on top of ignorance and hypocrisy in that the Republican governors don't seem to know what a sanctuary city is either. They understand the hypocrisy of the Democrats, but I don't think they understood their lack of knowledge about these matters. And that's a problem too. And that's why I'm here. I'm here to straighten all this out and to give you a better understanding, if you don't know, of what a border city is in its larger sense and what a sanctuary city is in its meaningful sense. So, what is a border town? I am going to stretch the meaning of border town to include not just those areas which are on the border with Mexico, which is what we typically think of as a border town. And some people realize that border towns are also on the border with Canada. But I'm going to stretch it to mean all those areas in which Border Patrol has the legal authority to operate. That includes the entire periphery of the United States, including Alaska and Hawaii. It includes all those areas that are on the border with Mexico, but it also includes the border that is the Gulf of Mexico. It includes the Pacific Ocean. It includes the Great Lakes, and it includes the Pacific Ocean. That is a lot of territory. More than that, Border Patrol agents are legally authorized to operate deep into the interior for at least 100 miles. And according to this map by the ACLU, that puts about 2 out of 3 Americans living in this border zone. This border patrol zone has been very correctly described as a constitution-free zone. And that's because Border Patrol agents have the legal authority to board any bus, any train, any vessel without any probable cause whatsoever, without a warrant signed by a judge, without any due process whatsoever. It is contrary to the Constitution, which prohibits unreasonable searches and warrantless seizures, and that's exactly what we have here. So the only probable cause would be attained through profiling, right? Do you see any way around that? Profiling by looking at the color of a person's skin, by listening to the language he or she is speaking, by listening to the clothing he or she is wearing, by remarking on the tattoos or other skin markings that person may have. That is nothing other than profiling, which is not really what our agents are supposed to do. At least that's what we hear, right? So I'm sorry for laughing, but sometimes I just, Anyway, so before we move on, please, if you're getting anything at all out of this, would you hit the like button? And would you subscribe to my channel? And would you hit that adorable little bell that will let you know when I post more content? It means the world to me. It is encouraging to me, and I appreciate it. So, what is a sanctuary city? A sanctuary city is not a city that has proclaimed itself to be welcoming for immigrants, nor a city which says how much they value their immigrants and how much they value the work that they do for us. That doesn't have any real meaning when it comes to undocumented people. The only ways in which the term sanctuary city has any real meaning is when the city or the county, and occasionally the state, makes a uniform decision that its police officers and its sheriff's deputies are not in any way to act as ICE agents. This means they cannot question anybody they come into contact with for, say, not wearing their seatbelt. They cannot ask that person about their immigration status. It also has meaning when the city or the county or the state has made a uniform decision not to respond in the affirmative to ICE detainer requests. So what is an ICE detainer request? Well, it works like this. When a police officer or a sheriff's deputy encounters someone for, say, not wearing their seatbelt or not using their turn signal or for having broken tail lights or for whatever reason like that, that they might, say, pull someone over, if they take that person to the jail, that person then will be fingerprinted as part of their processing or their booking process. Those fingerprints are then sent off to a database. ICE has access to that database. And if that person has ever, prior to this imprisonment, come into contact with ICE, they will have a record of that. They will then send a detainer request to the city or the county, as the case may be, asking for them to hold the prisoner over 48 hours beyond the prisoner's time served. This is completely voluntary. The city and the county has absolutely no obligation to respond affirmatively to these requests. They are requests. They are voluntary. So typically this happens through the county. There are out there a few sanctuary states in which the state legislature has sent an order to the cities and counties that their officers not act as ICE agents and that they not honor detainer requests. So that would apply to the entire state. And note too, this is another constitutional issue because holding a person over for 48 hours so that ICE can come and pick them up and put them into deportation amounts to a second arrest and a second imprisonment and another sentence without any sort of due process whatsoever. Now, if you are as interested as I have been in finding out whether your county or city honors these ICE detainer requests, you can go to an excellent website and a database kept by Syracuse University following a successful Freedom of Information Act lawsuit. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that it is the easiest website to navigate, but if you stay with it, you will figure it out, and you can find your state, and within that find your county, and see the numbers of requests that they have received and whether they have cooperated with them. So, yes, it was a problem for Mayor Lightfoot to say, and for Mayor Bowser and the other mayors to proclaim themselves sanctuary cities and then not act to take care of these asylum seekers. But I also want to acknowledge, and please hear me well on this, people don't know things they haven't been told and haven't had explained to them. This, for me, speaks to a problem with some, certainly not all, immigration advocacy groups who themselves are not becoming informed, in particular on what a sanctuary city is and is not, and I'm afraid is giving false hope to people in thinking that if their city is a sanctuary city, they don't have to worry about ICE and deportation. And again, that just does not exist. But an even bigger problem, I think, because advocacy groups also rely on them, is our mainstream media. Our mainstream media is not giving us the information we need. It is not giving us the information that we are entitled to. And it's not giving us the information that would be helpful to us in making some of our decisions and formulating some of our tactics. As I have said so many times since I became involved in immigration advocacy and in immigration issues, if I knew it in 2006, the New York Times knew it in 2006. If I knew it in 2008, the Washington Post and NPR and Democracy Now! And CNN and all our major news outlets knew it too. I've never had access to anything that mainstream media does not have access to, and quickly. And so, as I promised, here's the thumbnail, and here is the title of Jimmy Dore's show on this event. I do hope you'll watch it. It is important. It is important that he be encouraged in this. It is important that we expand our knowledge. It is important that we understand the astounding hypocrisy of the Democratic Party when it comes to immigration issues. Jimmy Dore was so on point with this. I hardly could have done better myself. In fact, I could not have done better myself because I don't have the resources, but whatever. Okay. And yes, he did a great job of pointing up the Democrats' hypocrisy, particularly the hypocrisy of our Democratic presidents when it comes to immigration and immigration issues. I could go on and on about this, but I will just stick with what Jimmy Dore pointed out, which was completely on point. For example, President Bill Clinton's hardline stance against undocumented people in his 1995 State of the Union address. And he was so on point in talking about the hope and change President Barack Obama, who became known among Latinos in particular as the deporter-in-chief because of his unprecedented numbers of deportations, 3 million by the end of his term, which was not surpassed by Donald Trump. And he was completely on point, pointing out that any of Biden's talk about doing better by immigrants has to be put into the context of his shocking deportation, at least up until this date, of 20,000 desperate Haitians. You know, I don't see any way around this being hypocritical and cynical, and Jimmy Dore was absolutely on point in the show that he did. Shout out to you, Jimmy. Well done. We Democrats need to get a grip. We need to start searching for the truth. We need to start demanding the truth. We need to start speaking the truth, and we need to start embracing the truth. We Democrats need to get our own house in order before we're so quick to condemn Republicans and members of other political parties. We need to get our own house in order. Okay, that's it. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate it. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments and I will do my best to answer them. Or if you have any comments, I'd love to hear them. If you were not aware you lived in a border state, but now are aware that you are, put that in the comments. I would be truly interested. And if you thought you lived in a sanctuary city, but now you're not so sure, and you're going to dash on over to Syracuse University's website, let me know that too. I am truly interested. Okay, I'll see you next time. Thank you again, and bye-bye.